All right, it's Between the Pipes here on your social media feeds. I am Mark Springer. Alex Ryan will be along shortly. We're having those Wi-Fi issues at Ball Arena. We're going to have to figure something out there. But Raj should be on in a second. I'll take you here to start this post-game show. Avalanche beat the Blackhawks. Mercifully, they finally slay the mighty Blackhawks. Oh, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. In fact, only the third time this season, I heard the Mosier and company drop this stat on the broadcast tonight. Only the third time this season that the Avs have been held scoreless through the first two periods of play. The first two times, both were against the Winnipeg Jets. And then, of course, the Chicago Blackhawks matched that tonight, but it took well less than a minute into that third period. In fact, 31 seconds into that third period for the Avs to end that trend and get the game-winning goal. That was the game-winning goal scored by Artturi Lehkonen, his 27th goal of the season. Artturi Lehkonen having a career year sure helps when you're playing with Nathan MacKinnon. Marty Necas knows that. Mikko Rantanen knows that very well. It sure helps when you're playing with Nathan MacKinnon, and Nathan MacKinnon got career points 1,000 and 1,001 tonight. We had to wait a little bit. Looked like he had picked up that 1,000th point in the first period, but an offside video review took the assist back. Would have been a Marty Necas goal, but we ended up getting everything. We got the MacKinnon points. We got the Necas goal. That was the second goal that the Avs scored in the third period that really iced this game. The Avs came out hot tonight, and then it was a little bit of a lull in the second period, a little bit of a boring hockey game. We had some glass maintenance or something to that effect, it appeared. Folks on ladders. I was bored. I was kind of not paying attention, but that appeared to be the stoppage. And then the Avs got their act together in the third period, came out buzzing, did what they needed to do. Blackhawks win the season series, though, over the Avs, 2-1. But, thank God. Thank God it wasn't a clean sweep against one of the weaker teams in hockey. It was Nathan MacKinnon night. He's the first star of the game, getting the 2 assists. 2 assists on the 2 non-empty net goals. And everyone is slobbering over Nathan MacKinnon tonight, as you should. Getting those 2 points 1,000 and 1,001. Let's see here. Let's go through some Nathan MacKinnon notes, stats, numbers. He is the first player from the 2013 NHL draft class to hit 1,000 points. Next closest is Alexander Sasha Barkov with 771 points. That's a considerable gap between the first and was Barkov second overall or third overall in that draft? Seth Jones was mixed in there as well. As joining us, I hear static. Raj must be getting close to coming on here. And there he goes. Might hear from Alex Ryan here in a second. So Nathan MacKinnon, clearing away the best player in that draft class. Avs made the right decision all those years ago, selecting him over Seth Jones. I also saw, Eric Johnson played in the game in Nathan MacKinnon's first NHL game. Eric Johnson played in that game. That's how far back EJ goes. EJ goes back, 2009, 2010, when EJ debuted with the Avs coming over from the St. Louis Blues. And then just a few years later, Nathan MacKinnon would make his NHL debut after being the first overall pick. Eric Johnson played with them. Eric Johnson, thank God he's back on the team, because nobody else would have played with Nate back when he was a pup, when he was a rookie. EJ did, though. And here we are. EJ's back on the Avs. He played his first game since the trade tonight. And wouldn't you know it, Nathan MacKinnon, all these years later, gets to 1,000 career points. We'll talk about EJ here in a second. This from Brendan McNicholas, Avalanche public relations extraordinaire, media and player relations extraordinaire for the Avalanche. He's the 100th player in NHL history to get to 1,000 points. Sakic and Stastny, Peter Stastny, the only other franchise players to get to 1,000 points. Peter Stastny, 1,048 points. So Nate's going to catch him. Sakic, 1,641 career points. Nate's 29 years old. Let's see, you get 100 points a season, and he's pretty much good for that nowadays and probably for the coming years. That's about 6 years. Yeah, he's going to pass Joe. He's going to pass Joe Sakic. I mean, look, Alex Ovechkin, years ago, it was like, is he really going to catch Wayne for goals scored? Yeah, he's going to. He's going to. And Nathan MacKinnon, in all likelihood, will end his career as the leading point totaler in Avalanche Nordique's history. He's probably going to pass Joe Sakic when it's all said and done. And he's the 17th first overall pick to do it. You like it when your first overall picks are Hall of Famers. That's what you want in a perfect world. There are your Nail Yakupovs of the world, former Av. Just top of my head. That's like my go-to bust first overall pick. So yeah, Nathan MacKinnon, he's the real deal. He's the real deal, and we'll see if he ends up with the Hart this season. More important, though, is a Stanley Cup. And, man, this team, they've rebuilt. And let's talk about Erik Johnson's game tonight real quick, actually. I thought he played well. I thought Erik Johnson played well. Besides a penalty that he took in this game, had some block shots, some sliding, diving, defensive plays to try to break up rushes and shot attempts. He was active. Man, it felt like he never left. Now, he plays the least amount for all defensemen tonight, 12 minutes and 1 second. But he was effective out there, and it was fun and also kind of weird to see him, I would say, primarily playing with Sam Girard tonight. That was the D pair just a few years ago. Erik Johnson and Sam Girard reunited. Sam Malinski, a healthy scratch tonight, but look, he's coming off a 2-assist game with Sam Malinski. And Jared Bednar, he talked to the media and he told Sam Malinski, hey, man, this is not because of the game you just had. In fact, that was your best game of your NHL career. And they knew it. I had said it at the very end of our last Between the Pipes show. You're playing the Blackhawks. They're one of the worst teams in the NHL. I don't know how much Erik Johnson is going to play, but against a team like Chicago, that's the perfect team to put him out there against. And that's no knock on Sam Malinski. It's just he's the low man on the totem pole. And so Erik Johnson got the start tonight and thought he played well. We'll see how much he plays going forward. And look, it's a good depth guy. Guys, no team gets more banged up than this team. Now, man, if there was ever a time to be due, let me knock on this wood here, to be due to not sustain injuries down the stretch, this would be the team that's due for that, considering all the injuries that they had sustained in the first half of this season and over the past few years. Is Gabe Landeskog coming back? I'll just throw that out there right now. He's going to be on the Spittin' Chicklets podcast tomorrow. He's on a full-on media blitz right now. Spittin' Chicklets, talked with Kyle Keefe on Altitude TV, talked with Peter Baugh of The Athletic, who used to cover the Avs, now covers New York hockey, has his TNT docuseries that I actually missed because the Nuggets and Thunder played on Sunday morning, and that was like all I was thinking about. Sorry, I spaced on the Landeskog documentary. But I mean, like, I listened to the Keefe interview. I know his sentiments right now. And my point really here is why, and I've seen others throw this point out as well. Why go on this media blitz right now? if it's not to soft launch the comeback, is it a way to show, hey, I did every damn thing I could? Here's a documentary to show that I did everything. There's video footage, video evidence, proof that I did everything I could to come back. But I don't know, man. Seems like a possible soft launch. It'd be awesome if he played in the playoffs. I'll take that dude on the fourth line all day. I'll take Gabe Landeskog. Could you imagine both Erik Johnson and Gabe Landeskog back? Not trying to get anyone's hopes up here, but I don't know. I'm just reading signs, reading tea leaves. I did it with Mikko Rantanen. I knew that there was some strife going on when people were telling me, oh, it's going to get done. It's going to get done. And I was the one saying, I'm not so sure. So I was just reading tea leaves. So I don't know. Maybe Landy's back in the playoffs. Holy crap. You think Erik Johnson was juiced? That would be some juice as well. But, Landy or no Landy, the additions continue to be great. Brock Nelson, a little less impactful of a game, but then you look at the face-off numbers. Brock Nelson wins 11 face-offs tonight, loses 4. So he's 11 of 15, 73.3% clip. He's at like a 53% clip overall this year. Yeah, that dude can win some face-offs, and he's now on power play 1. And I like that move. I like the move to put Brock Nelson on power play 1 because he can, 1, do just that, win face-offs, and 2, he's got a shot. He's got a little shot, doesn't he? Whether it's a little wrister snapshot or a one-timer, he's got some oomph on that shot. We saw his very first shot attempt as an Avalanche hit the post, and that thing had some pace on it. I was like, okay, Brock Nelson can rip it. And I think, too, so Jonathan Drouin moves down to power play 2. But, and so Drouin, he would occupy that right wing that Mikko Rantanen left. That right wing on the power play that Mikko Rantanen would occupy. And it was Drouin who was filling that role. Because it's good to have a left-handed shot on that right wing. Just the angles are better when you have a left-handed shot on the right side and a right-handed shot on the left side. I mean, it's why until this season, and in theory, on paper, and we've seen stretches of it, the Avs power play before the past few months, and it's been better of late. It was so dangerous. Mikko on the right, left-handed shot, big. Look, that's how he scored his first Stars goal, his power play goal on that right wing. Like, he's dangerous over there with that one-time shot, left-handed shot. Okay, that's where you want a left-handed shot over there. Jonathan Drouin was filling that role admirably. I think Brock Nelson, with the shot we've seen, be even better. So that's another positive of Brock Nelson. And that was the one downside to the Nichushkin-Rantanen swap, and trajectory, was initially in the first game you could tell, they're struggling to figure out that left-handed shot on the right side. They wanted to put Nichushkin on the right wing, but it became clear, no, we need a left-handed shot over there. So that's when they moved Drouin over there. But now Brock Nelson fills that void. So all of the positives that Mikko Rantanen brought and everything that they lost with him, they've actually recouped. They've actually, like, in every single facet. As Alex Ryan-Emmy is back in his car in the Ball Arena parking lot.
I'm at my wit's end. I'm trying to find every possible way that I can fix the internet issues that we're having up in the booth to connect to the post-game show. But right now, this is the way she goes.
Hey, your thoughts, Raj. Let's just jump right into it on this 3-0 win for the Avs tonight.
I mean, it was sloppy. It was sleepy is what it was. I don't think it was anything that the Avs are going to write home about or be very excited about. I mean, Nathan MacKinnon said it in his post-game interview, his walk-off interview with Rachel Toss. He just wasn't a fan of how they played, and neither was Jared Bednar. But when you're going up against one of the worst teams in the NHL, you can afford to have a bad game. Scott Wedgewood was fantastic. That's my biggest takeaway of what happened tonight, was that Scott Wedgewood, when your team is not playing great, can be great for you. And I think that matters a whole bunch. He made 4 or 5 grade A stops. The Avs did hit 3 posts. I think it was inevitable for a little bit of a letdown game against a team like Chicago, coming off of a big come-from-behind win against Toronto. You're looking ahead to a back-to-back tomorrow against a team that you're trying to separate yourselves from to get the 3 seed in the Central. I wasn't concerned about it, but good teams find a way to win when they're not at their best. And tonight was about Nathan MacKinnon. That's really what it was. It was about Nathan MacKinnon finding 1,000 points, and it just so happens it comes in kind of a snoozy win.
Yeah, no, I hadn't even mentioned Wedgewood yet, and yeah, gotta hit on that. He was great. It was kind of a carryover from his last start. I think that was Pittsburgh, and Wedgewood's a different goaltender than Mackenzie Blackwood. Mackenzie Blackwood is so sound positionally. His movements are so fluid. Like, he's got the size. Mackenzie Blackwood checks every box that you want from an elite goaltender. Now, Scott Wedgewood, he's a little more chaotic in net. His movements might not be as fluid, but damn it, he finds a way to get it done. He's a little more of a sprawler. He finds himself sprawling, but
yes,
he gets it done. And the first sprawling save, that was just a great recovery from him. He gets run into. That should have been goaltender interference. And Eric Johnson in that sequence, that was one of those sliding defensive plays that I talked about before you jumped on. Like Gerard initially, he's trying to keep a puck in the O zone. I thought he does a good job to try to keep that puck, but it gets taken away. That's fine. That's going to happen. A little bit of a rush the other way. Eric Johnson sliding, and he almost breaks that thing up. And in the chaos of everything, Wedgewood gets run into. Wedgewood's on the edge of his crease. He's in the crease. And there was no Avs player in the area. He got run into. That should have been goaltender interference. But despite being taken down and being on his ass, this dude still makes a save like upside down. And they had a couple of those lateral sprawling saves also in this game. So, I mean, Scott Wedgewood, I've mentioned the Pavel Francouz comparisons in terms of just what a backup goaltender he is. What a backup goaltender he is.
Yeah, the team plays well in front of him. I do believe that hitting on Francouz is something that you got to early, is that the team was confident in front of Francouz as well. I mean, there's no other stat that you have to point to other than him being undefeated in his games that he played in the 2022 Stanley Cup Championship run when he came in for the injured Darcy Kemper. Did he have to light the world on fire to win those games? No, he had a great team in front of him, and you find a way to boat race Edmonton in the West Final that year, and then Darcy comes back and he's excellent against Tampa Bay, and you get a Stanley Cup ring out of it. Wedgewood feels like that. Wedgewood feels like a guy that if you lost Mackenzie Blackwood for a little bit, knock on wood that you don't because he's so excellent, that you would be comfortable going, yeah, the team's deep enough and good enough that Wedgewood being, a very good backup can still get you pretty deep. We've seen backup goalies carry teams to finals, right? So, like, I hope to God that's not what has to happen, but I mean, there are goalies that have done this in the past. There are goalies that are, who's the goaltender for Philadelphia when they lost in the Cup final? The goal that Patrick Kane scored that no one realized went in. I want to say the last name was, I think it was Michael Leighton was the goalie.
I think you're right.
Michael Leighton got the Philadelphia Flyers through the East in the heyday of the Marion Gaborik, Rick Nash Rangers years, in the final gasp of Marty Brodeur's career in New Jersey when he got them to a Cup final in the 2010s. Michael Leighton got them there. Scott Wedgewood can do those things for the Avalanche if need be. Just pray that he doesn't have to.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I want to mention because I brought up, because Eric Johnson's back, and Gabe Landeskog's going on Spit and Chicklets tomorrow. And I mentioned the Landeskog documentary. Shout out to Michael in the chat. I missed the Landeskog documentary on Sunday because the Nuggets and Thunder were playing at 11 a.m. and that's like all that was on my mind. So Michael says that part one is re-airing Wednesday night on TNT at 11:30. I'm gonna set my DVR. I will be watching that. And look, man, I said Raj, he's on a full-on media blitz right now. I don't know why go on this media blitz unless you're either A, coming back for the playoffs, or B, you're setting us all up for your retirement and you're just trying to tell us I did everything I could. But he's obviously, look, he's not going to do that right now. He said his goal is still to come back. I don't expect a retirement announcement by the end of this season. So it just makes me, with Eric Johnson back tonight, Raj, that's just where my mind goes to. Seeing EJ back makes me want Landy back as well.
It's one of two things, and I think you said them both there. He is either preparing people for, I'm going to try this in the postseason, or he's done. Or he's going to try it in the postseason, and then he's going to be done. I heard a lot of people saying, oh, it would be a horrible coaching mistake for the Avalanche to play Gabe Landeskog for the first time in 2.5 years in the playoffs. He's going to need 15, 20 games to get up to NHL speed. I'm here to tell you, the Avs are not going to go into next season hoping that Gabriel Landeskog's knee is okay and screwing themselves from a cap situation. They are figuring this out this year. And it is either Gabe plays and he's healthy and okay and he continues his career. He plays in this postseason and then he continues his career. That's option A. Option B is he plays in this postseason, realizes I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And he LTIR retires for the rest of his career. And he stays here and he lives with his family and he's somehow part of the organization. I think that would be a wonderful thing for him. Or 3, he doesn't play this year. And then he LTIR retires anyway. They are playing him in the postseason if he's able. They will not go into next year hoping that he can play. That would be talk about bad decisions. A bad coaching decision to play him in the postseason for 8 or 9 minutes as a fourth line winger. Fuck that. That's fine. The worst decision you could possibly make is not to play him because you're nervous about those 7 or 8 minutes in a playoff game and then completely screw yourself next year that if you make room for that $7 million and then it turns out he can't play, you're playing in the NHL with $7 million of open cap. You want to miss the playoffs? That's how you do it, my friend, because guess who you won't be able to re-sign? Brock Nelson. You won't be able to sign Ryan Lindgren. You'll be screwed. You'll be up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. They're not going to do that.
No, it's an excellent point. And he would be, he'd be a fourth line guy. Charlie Coyle and Ross Colton are your 2 third line wings right now. So Landeskog would come back as a fourth line guy. And we saw tonight, Logan O'Connor got a healthy scratch. Jimmy VC back in the lineup. But I think, Eric Johnson, this won't be the last game he plays this season. He'll be back in and somebody else will rotate out. I think that's all it was with Logan O'Connor tonight coming out. They're deep now. They're deeper than they had been. So it's an opportunity to get some guys, a night off or just to get another look. So I don't think that this was an indictment on O'Connor or anything. I think it was, hey, we're deep. We want to keep mixing VC in. We saw Miles Wood get the scratch the other night. It's going to be a rotation thing of that, that fourth line, maybe even above, depending on, if someone is even just a little nicked up. Better safe than sorry. You have a little depth now offensively and defensively. But that's what they're rocking with on the fourth line. I'll take. Give me a swing at Gabe Landeskog. If he's ready to go, put him on that fourth line. 10 minutes a night. I don't even care. Let's see it. Let's just see it. And hey, if even after one game, if after one game it's not feeling good, shut him down.
Without a doubt. When we talk about that fourth line, I think the lineup that you iced this evening is the most sparsely used lineup for the rest of the season and certainly in the playoffs. Logan O'Connor not being on the ice was weird. Seeing him in the press box was odd. Even seeing Sam Malinsky in the press box was a little odd and off tonight. Parker Kelly, those are guys that are going to be playing playoff games. I don't know if Miles Wood has the full trust of this coaching staff right now. I think for me, he's a 12-13 forward right now. He skates really hard and really fast, and he goes through the boards. But I don't know what he accomplishes as of late. There's a different level to his game that we've seen, but right now I don't think he's playing at it. So I would rather see Parker Kelly and Logan O'Connor in the game in exchange for Miles Wood and Jimmy Vesey. I don't think Vesey fits in for me. That part of that trade didn't really make all that much sense to me, but it's just depth. Forwards, you need to have 14 or 15 guys that you can rely upon just in case someone gets injured. But that's my kind of feeling. I would put O'Connor and Kelly into the lineup and remove VC and Wood.
All right, Raj, 6-0. 6-0 on the. In fact, it's the first time in Avalanche history, maybe franchise history. I need to double check this, but certainly Avalanche history, that they have had a 6-game homestand and gone 6-0. They had one where they were 5-0-1, but this is their first 6-0 homestand in franchise history. I had said 4-2, and this is considering how the 2 games after the Four Nations, a little sleepy. Who knew, midway through that they would, go as ham as they did, adding, Lindgren, then Nelson, then Coyle. But they go 6-0, and now they are 4 points ahead of Minnesota. So the Avs are tied for the longest win streak in the NHL with the Florida Panthers. Although Aaron Ekblad's got to take those steroids out of his ass. He'll have to do that for the next few weeks. But the Panthers have won 6 in a row. The Avs have won 6 in a row. I mean, right now, that's a decent bet as a cup final. Like, you can make worse bets than Panthers Avs as your cup final, and both those teams have the longest tied for the longest win streaks in the NHL. Avs now 4 points clear of the Wild and 6 points back of the Dallas Stars, and they'll have a chance, if everything holds serve, and it could be even better than holding serve. You have a chance to rip 2 points from Dallas here on Sunday, and get as close as 4 points behind Dallas. It's happening, man. It's happening right before our very eyes.
Yeah, I don't know if they can catch Dallas. There's only 17 games remaining, and you're 3 wins back of catching them. And Dallas is a good team. Like, they're solid. They win games. They've got good goaltending. They defend well, even without Miro Heiskanen being healthy right now. I don't think they can catch Dallas, but then again, this is a different Avs team, right? Like, when completely healthy this year, especially with their top 6, I believe they're now 9-1, if I'm correct, in those 10 games when completely healthy. That's dominant. That's elite. That is Florida Panthers-esque. And I do think you're right. That's a really good final to bet on. The Ekblad suspension is 20 games, so it will extend into the first round of the playoffs. Luckily enough for Florida, they're good enough to win without Aaron Ekblad, which is insane to think about, right? Former number 1 overall pick, stalwart defenseman for them for years. They're good enough to win without him. He'll be back somewhere halfway into that first round. I don't know what the extent of his injuries are, but I just know that it's a 20-game suspension. That is a big-time hammer that comes down. You have to beat Dallas in regulation on Sunday for that to be possible, for you to catch them for the 2 seed.
I think they're going to catch Dallas for 2 reasons. One is a less tangible thing, and that is, it would be a rematch of the second round series from last year where Dallas had home ice. And I'm just, one of my sports beliefs is just that it's tough for history to truly repeat it. Like, you see the opposite a lot. I think that this series, the Avs will be the home seed. I do. I think they catch Dallas. And so the tangible reason, though, is the Avs schedule. The Avs have a very favorable schedule down the stretch. There's some good opponents mixed in, but there are some games I look at here coming up, And Calgary, like I know Ottawa and Montreal are okay. Detroit, St. Louis, Calgary again. Oh, they do play Chicago again, so a chance to even the season series. Chicago, Columbus has been a fun story, but Columbus, St. Louis, you finish with the Ducks. There's winnable, like the schedule to me, it's not a cakewalk by any means, but it's favorable. And so that's a reason I think they can catch Dallas.
So what do we think the points, what do we think the number 2 seed in the Central has to get to for points? Because right now Colorado sits at 80. They have 17 games remaining, which is a possible 34 points. Dallas sits at 86 with 18 games remaining on the schedule, if my math is correct, and my brain isn't foggy. So let's say, what do you need to do? You need to win 12 of 17, and that gets you to what, 94? Is that right? Is my math right, or is that 104? That's 104.
104, yeah.
All right, so if you win 12, that's 104 points. I think 104 is a good number. Maybe 106 might have to get it done.
So between now and Sunday, the Stars game on Sunday, the Avs are at Minnesota tomorrow night, and then at Calgary on Friday night. They'll get 2 days rest between those two games. And we'll see Blackwood tomorrow night.
I think Colorado wins tomorrow night's game, by the way.
We know how good the Nuggets have been on second nights of back-to-backs this season. And Minnesota's still banged up. They have lost 2 in a row. And you can kind of just feel it happening with Minnesota. You can kind of feel the inevitable fade coming. The Wild have a -6 goal differential on the season. The Avs are now up to plus 29. It just goes to show like the true difference between those teams. And that plus 29 is going to go up for Colorado here coming up. And that -6, that might be a little bit of that could go down for Minnesota. Like, yeah, that's a winnable game tomorrow night. Calgary on Friday. We saw them go into Calgary and win before the Four Nations. You could easily be on an 8-game winning streak going into that Dallas game. Let's say that's the case. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but let's say that's the case. That will put the Avs at 84 points, okay? Dallas has 1 game between now. Dallas is getting the whole damn week off. Good for you. They're just chilling in Canada right now because they played last night. They beat Vancouver 4-1. They're going to chill all week in Canada for a Friday night matchup in Winnipeg. All right, I hate to say it, but go Jets. If the Jets get that game and the Avs win their 2 before the Dallas game, and the Avs beat Dallas on Sunday, so that would be a 9-game win streak for the Avs. If that happens, both the Avs and the Stars will be tied at 86 points.
And all of that for home ice advantage for the consolation prize of, playing Winnipeg on the road in round 2.
Hey, home ice means maybe the odds are better of it being a 5-game series instead of 6. How funny would it be if they swept Mikko Rantanen Stars?
I mean, it'd be amazing. Sunday's game is going to be, that's an unmissable hockey game. If you're in the state of Colorado and you have an ability to get your hand on a ticket, it is an unmissable hockey game. You have to go to that hockey game. Like, that is going to be as close to playoff atmosphere as you can possibly get. I don't know. It was funny, man. I was listening for it. So when Roach announces the next Avs game after a game has finished at Ball Arena, typically there's no reaction whatsoever. And he announces the next home game will be Sunday at 1:30 against the Dallas Stars. And there was a very, very audible boo at Ball Arena. And I haven't heard that before. Like, I've heard a couple of like very light boos about that team or about certain like rival teams. That was heavy tonight, man. And that makes me think, I didn't know what to think. And I still don't really know what's going to happen from the fan base when they announce Mikko Rantanen, because there will be a highlight video. There will be a tribute video for him on Sunday. What I heard tonight, Mikko's going to get booed at some point, man.
Did you hear Rod Brindamore's comments on that North Carolina radio station,
I did.
99.9, the fan, perhaps. I don't know. Yeah, Rod Brindamore says that when he talked to Mikko for, I think, the first time, Mikko gets to the Hurricanes. All right, you meet with the head coach. Hey, Mikko, nice to meet you. I'm Rod Brindamore. I'll be your coach. Mikko says, there are 4 teams I will play for, and you're not one of them. How does that happen? How did that situation even, how did we even get to that point? How did the Hurricanes make that trade? What the hell happened?
I mean, it's a fireable offense from Eric Tulsky is what it is. I don't know if they got bad intel because the rumor was that Carolina had heard positive things from Mikko Rantanen or his camp about trading for him and then having the ability to sign him down the road. They had heard positive things, or at least those are the reports coming out of Carolina. Again, I've seen a lot of people talk about, the Avs offered 11.5, 11.7. I heard reports from within the team that they offered the same deal that he signed in Dallas. Yeah, that's crazy. So that means he would have stayed or signed with Colorado, Dallas, and who were the other 2 teams? Does that mean Toronto is actually one of those teams? Because Toronto was barking up that tree. Toronto was going to offer 2 first-round picks in Fraser Minton, who ends up being part of the Brandon Carlo trade, to Carolina. They were going to offer Minton and 2 first-round picks. They end up not getting it done. And Carolina now is left holding the bag. Sure, they get a couple, I think 2 first-round picks out of their multiple trades, but they lose Jack Drury and Marty Necas, and they bring in a player who we like, but like Logan Stankoven isn't Marty Necas. He's a good little player. I think Carolina botched this trade as poorly as they could have done it. And I feel bad for the organization because they've been knocking on the doorstep. They took a big time swing. And sometimes when you take a big swing, even on a 3-0 fastball that, is coming right down the pike, if you're trying to hit it out, sometimes you swing out of your shoes and you miss the ball entirely. Eric Tulsky missed the ball entirely.
Well, shout out to Logan Stankoven, who scored his first Hurricanes goal, a little tip in front of net against the Winnipeg Jets in the Hurricanes win over Winnipeg the other day. And 1, it's awesome to see the Jets lose. 2, I'm stoked to be able to root for the Stanky Oven now. Like, and now that he's, a Hurricane and he's the guy that they got for Mikko, I'm rooting for nothing but an amazing career for Logan Stankoven. And, whatever happens to Mikko happens. Look, great Av. I whatever. Anything except for beating the Avs is fine with me. But, okay, only 4 teams that he was willing to go to, according to Rod Brindamore at least. Then why the hell was he so bullish on 14 or what was some large contract number when he was only considering 4 teams? I don't even know if the Avs were one of those. So 5, I guess, because remember, he's shocked and he's hurt that he got traded from the Avs. If you weren't willing to listen to every single team in the NHL, because guess what? The teams that could pay you $14 million are probably going to be like some lower level teams with cap space, teams that, are on the come up, but have a lot of cap space. So the whole situation makes absolutely no sense. It's a complete botch job from Mikko, from the Hurricanes, and the only teams that come out winners are number 1, the Avs, and number 2, the Stars, I suppose. They come out winners here in terms of winning right now. But here's why the Avs are the winners, man. Dmitry Filipovich tweeted this out. In 170 5-on-5 minutes for the MacKinnon, Necas, and Lehkonen line since the trade, that line is out shooting opponents, whatever line is facing them on the ice. When that top line is out on the ice, they're out shooting the opponent 120 to 57. The high danger chances are 58 to 24. The goals are 13 to 3. The top line converted on both 5-on-5 goals tonight before the empty netter. The top line has largely been very good. We saw Nathan MacKinnon feed Marty Necas for the second goal. Look, Marty Necas is going to become a Nathan MacKinnon merchant, just like Mikko Rantanen was, and I'm here for it. So the Avs are the winners. They got Necas. They got Drury. They are producing every bit the same that they were when Mikko Rantanen was on this team earlier this season, and they have Brock Nelson, Charlie Coyle, Ryan Lindgren.
Yeah, and I think you can probably find a way to sign Necas to the Rantanen deal, not to the 8x12. You might be able to sign him to the original Rantanen deal, which I assume is probably what he was asking for in Carolina, because he wasn't quite that player. But when you get handcuffed to Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar, you get to be a point producer. That's what we've seen. That's what's going to happen as those guys are in their prime. Again, my what if. The Avs would not look anything like this if they had not been forced into trading Mikko Rantanen. Sometimes your hand gets forced in ways that you don't want it to, but sometimes it comes out, looking like gold and smelling like roses rather than being shoved into a pile of shit, which is what you originally thought was happening. And I thought that's what happened with the Broncos today, right? Like, all those wide receivers go off the board and the running backs go off the board. What are the Broncos going to do with their skill positions? Well, in a year in which the free agency market isn't great, the Broncos are now forced to do what? They're forced to use their money a little bit more judiciously, right? They're forced to use their money on the defense, get a really good safety, get an excellent linebacker, so that in Bo Nix in year 2, when he inevitably, and I don't know if this will happen, but most quarterbacks in the NFL see second-year regression, right? So what's the best way to do that? Supplement him with an amazing defense, and then next year when free agency is awesome and Russell Wilson is completely off the books, then you go all in and get that guy a true number 1 wide receiver or a stud running back. And maybe they move up in the draft to get a stud running back this year. The Broncos had their hands forced in free agency. The Avs had their hands forced with Mikko Rantanen, and they came out because they had to do the judicious move in making sure that you got something back for a player that was going to be asking for way too much money. And now you have the deepest team since the 2022 Cup run. And I don't think who's trembling right now? And they haven't been trembling the entire season. The Winnipeg Jets have to be shitting themselves.
Oh, for sure. For sure. They know that the Avs got them in 5 last year when Winnipeg was the home team in that series. And, Winnipeg's like, oh, look at this great season we're having. Oh, we've had success against the Avs this year. Whoops, Avs got a goaltender. Whoops, Avs just solidified their depth to the best of their abilities since they won the Cup. Yeah, no, if you're Winnipeg, if you're the entire NHL, certainly in the Western Conference, it's once again, and the Avs, look, here's the thing. I wasn't writing the Avs off to win a Cup even before the deadline. As long as you have Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar and Valeri Nichushkin, for that matter, and knowing that they got Blackwood, earlier in the season, you have a puncher's chance. You're going to go sport to sport. We saw what the Nuggets did tonight. As long as you have Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray playing at that level, you have a chance. But the Avs went out and fortified everything. So now they are as dangerous as they were just a few years ago. And yeah, man, the Dallas Stars and Mikko Rantanen, look, I understand booing him on Sunday. I get it. It's going to be fun. People aren't going to be able to help themselves. But the reason I would say you don't have to boo him, even though go ahead and boo him. I don't give a shit. Go ahead and boo him. But the Avs are winners in this. The Avs won the situation. They are a better team because of this Mikko Rantanen drama. They are a better team than they would have been, as we have said, had they kept Mikko Rantanen. So for that, I applaud Mikko Rantanen. Thank you so much for everything you did, but go ahead and boo him.
Yeah, I'm on board with you. All right, Spring, I'm down to like 2% on my battery, so I may drop out at any point in the next 2 seconds.
We can go ahead and wrap up.
So tomorrow I will be back at the friendly confines of my wonderfully internet connected home. So we're not going to worry about that. I'll be back with a good mic and a good camera, and it won't look like I'm being taken hostage. So that'll be fun. Spring, thank you for dealing with the technical difficulties. Sorry again for everyone. We're trying to figure it out. I'm going to try and find a way to get a hard wire up there so that we don't have to worry about these internet issues when I'm doing network. But luckily it happened against the Chicago Blackhawks and out on Sunday against the Dallas Stars when the game like actually matters.
Are you at Ball on Sunday? Are you going to Ball?
I think I'm going to go.
Yeah. You were saying like you can't miss this game.
You can't miss it. You can't miss it.
Sure.
So if I say you can't miss it, I kind of have to go, you know?
Well, until Sunday, fortunately, we'll be back tomorrow night after Avs Wild.
Heck yeah.
And hopefully that's 2 points, and then the Avs are 4 points back at Dallas, and then all hell breaks loose as the week goes on. All right, Raj, turn that car on and get the hell home.
Peace.
All right, there he goes. That's Alex Ryan Emmy leaving this show. I'm going to leave you guys as well. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. We'll be right back on these very same channels tomorrow night after the Avs and the Wild. Mackenzie Blackwood will be in net, and objects in your rearview mirror may be closer than they appear. If you're Dallas, the Avalanche are honking their horn right behind you. So this is going to be a very interesting week with the main event being on Sunday. So we'll talk to you tomorrow night after the Avs and Wild. Good night, everyone.